everybody. It's so good to see you. Welcome. Hi. So, today is Maundy Thursday. And what is that? That's basically the first day of Easter vacation in Norway, but it's basically the beginning of the great Last Supper that uh, Jesus and his disciples had. And I wanted to focus on one beautiful aspect of that in order to illustrate how powerful and amazing that you are and how to use and honor more of the power that you are and have. So, as the disciples came to visit Jesus before the Last Supper, the first act that Jesus had was to wash the disciples' feet. Not only because that was a thing that you did then because people walked around in sandals and barefoot, right? And their feet were dirty. Like in Norway, we always take our shoes off before we walk into the house. So there was a practical mechanic there. But when the teacher or the master or the leader gets down on their knees to wash their disciples or students' feet, it shows a certain relationship, doesn't it? It shows a relationship of honor and love and potential. So, how is this important in terms of relating to ourselves? Have you ever had the need to show people how smart or how good you are? Have you ever had a desire to make something more than they are or to prove to others what you're capable of? And of course, everybody who participates in society and has friends or grows up in our achievement based society will have gone through a period in their life where they have to be the master before they're the master, or they have to establish themselves in order to feel comfortable. But in reality, when you are a master, you don't really have to prove it, do you? Not at all. In fact, who you are and what you do and what you provide for other people is more than enough. So, as we look at our lives, how much energy do we spend trying to prove or establish who we are for other people in order to feel comfortable, feel at home, feel well? In fact, this paradoxical idea often comes in a way that keeps you from understanding who you are. Because if Jesus on this Thursday before Easter could bend down on his knees and wash his disciples' feet and still be Jesus, still be the Messiah, can you still be all of what you are without having to prove yourself at all, other than just being you and doing what you do? And the answer is, of course. The more energy we spend trying to prove who we are to other people instead of just doing what we're doing and achieving what we're achieving, the more focus we take away from sharing our gifts. Okay? So if you do martial arts and you're a black belt, which if you don't do martial arts is the highest grade, and you are practicing with a white belt, is it possible for you to lower your level so that you can exchange with that person and enjoy and have fun, or do you have to prove who you are? Yesterday at training, I saw Moritz rolling or training with a young man, and the young man must have been 14 years old. And of course, he didn't stand a chance. Moritz is an elite level athlete. She is a European competitor. She's a world's championship competitor. There's absolutely no possible way for that young man to deal with this tiny, cute, blonde tiger. But how did she move into that training? Did she go there to prove herself to him, or did she go there to exchange and be her and enjoy the interaction and share her jujitsu with him? And exactly that. She didn't have to prove who she was. Her jujitsu spoke for itself. Now, we're going to get into another aspect of this being humble in a moment, but let's just talk about this. What is the true difference between confidence and arrogance? What do you think when Jesus bent down and washed his students' feet? Was that an act of love and care? And do you think that Jesus looked down on his students? Of course, he was looking down on their feet as he was washing them. But what do you think his relationship to his students were? Do you think that he sees himself on top of a mountain and that they're low, 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 low in the valley? Or did he see them as everything? Did he love and accept them exactly how they are? Did he see them as perfect, as shards of God? So, very often, when we are truly confident in ourselves, we are humble. And what I mean by that is when you are confident, you accept yourself for the highs and lows, but you also understand who you are. Being arrogant is the opposite. Being arrogant is not truly having belief in yourself and having rather to speak badly or to diminish the people around you. So, for example, if I was a competitor and I wanted to walk onto the mat, if I was arrogant, I would say, he doesn't look so tough. He probably doesn't train right. You see, he doesn't wear the latest updated gi. Whatever. This is going to be easy. And could that set myself up for a little bit of a surprise? Under evaluating, yes. Being confident would be I know who I am, I know the work that I've done, and I am humble in the fact that I can rest with everything that I could have done has been done. And I'm going to step onto the mat knowing that I've done that job, knowing who I am. And this is a very critical aspect of achieving in your life because you don't learn quickly unless you have the beginner's mindset. But the paradox is that if you make yourself a beginner, do you lose yourself? Do you lose the things that you've mastered before? Do you lose the quality of human being that you are? Absolutely not. But you can see very many performers that aren't masters of their subject will refuse to start something new because they don't want to be a newbie. They don't want to be a beginner. And that's the worst idea, the worst concept that you possibly can have in your life because then your evolution stops. I make myself a beginner all the time. And in fact, when I'm working with my jujitsu students, I'm always asking myself, what can I learn from their amazing jujitsu? What can I learn? Even if they're beginners, I learn lots from them as well. What can and can't happen, what does and does not work, not judging them as being in a valley as I'm on a peak, but rather accepting them as amazing and total and me being present and aware. Now, we're going to take this a whole different place. How many of us, and I'd like you to raise your hand, how many of us have a mental picture of the way things have to go around them, right? And what happens when things don't go the way you think they're going to go? Yeah, right? Okay. Who gets confused? Who gets upset? Who gets frustrated? And does anybody have the self hate? Yep, that's right. Exactly. Our mental projection, in a way, is a certain kind of arrogance. It's basically us deciding how the world is going to dance around us instead of us relaxing into the fact that things are in this moment as they are and honoring our power as a human being and being confident enough in ourselves to know that we can adapt, change, and use what's happening around us for our own evolution. So think about this. If I'm in a boat in a river, is it easier for me to use the power of the river to propel myself forward, or is it easier for me to work against the stream? Okay, that's a pretty easy picture. So if I accept the way things are, instead of getting upset, dismayed, self hate, frustrated with the things around me that don't match my mental projection, how much more power do I have to move forward? Being in the moment means accepting the moment. Who here would love to have more love in their life? Absolutely everybody, right? So, my question to you is, what is the major factor for love? One of the most beautiful examples of unconditional love we have, though we may not know it until we become a parent or a mother, but the love a mother has for a child. Now, does the mother love the child when it's quiet? Does she love it when it's not quiet? Does she love it when it's eating? Does she love it when it's not eating? Does she love it when it makes a mess? She may not love the mess, but she loves the child when it makes a mess. And at the same time, when the child actually cleans its room, she loves the child. Now, what is the key factor to that love? Acceptance. The mother accepts the child whether it's clean or dirty. The mother accepts the child whether it's high or low. The mother accepts the child whether it's behaving badly or not. Acceptance is the first major step towards love. Now, can you love but not like? Yes, you can love but not like. You can actually really not like the actions of a person or the attitude of a person, but you can still love them very much. Now, what I'm telling you is that you don't necessarily have to like everything going on around you, but can you accept the fact that it is how it is? So, one of the beautiful things about Christianity and the Christ was the Christ like love that he had. So, whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, whether you believe in that or not, this psychological mechanism to have more love is acceptance. Now, is love different than like? Yes, it is. You can have unconditional love, but not necessarily like everything going on around you. And I repeat that because most people think that if I allow myself to love, if I allow myself that unconditional love and the feeling of love, then I am going to be a victim to everything around me that may not be good for me, that may not be positive. But that's not the case. Can a mother discipline a child? Huh, just ask me. I've been disciplined. Yes, a mother can set boundaries. A mother can change behavior. A mother can educate. A mother can help a child evolve, all while being unconditionally loving to the child. Correct or not? Absolutely. So, this is the important thing, that if you want more love in your life and you want that feeling of love, the first step is to accept what's going on around. Now, acceptance. Now, this is a very important point. Where do we live? Where do we live? Do we live inside? Do we live outside? Do we live in our futures? Do we live in our pasts? Or do we live in the moment? Is there anything other than this moment? There really isn't. So if we are coloring this moment with the traumas of our past, or we are not aware of this moment because we fear the future, are we also accepting the moment? We're not. Because somehow our mind thinks that the past or the future was better or more interesting than this moment. The gift of the present moment is the present. So, this idea of acceptance not only has to do with our relationship with our lives and the constant game we play with ourselves. Our mental projection says it has to be like this for me to be happy. My mental projection says it has to go exactly like this, and if it does, I'm okay, but if it doesn't, then I was a horrible person and don't deserve. How many have had that thought pattern? Right? Exactly. There's so many factors, there's so many things moving around us. The universe dances around us constantly. Being in the ocean, surfing on the waves, is how you walk through your life. Managing each moment as nature evolves, as the universe gives you opportunities. We're not even aware of a fraction of the things happening around us. So, how can we predict or control everything? Now, you may say, well, if I can't predict anything, then I'm useless. But we go back to this idea of confidence and arrogance. Is it arrogant to think you can control everything around you? Yes. But understanding who you are and what you have to give and the work that you do and your ability to adapt to the things changing around you, that's confidence. So now, based on washing people's feet, we visited the present moment, a mother's unconditional love, releasing the past, living in the moment, staying with the moment and not disappearing into the future. We visited arrogance and confidence. We visited the first steps in releasing ourselves into more love in our everyday life. So, my question to you is, are you going to self hate every time you fall back into your mental projection of how things are? Or are you going to laugh? Are you going to realize that you can be humble and enjoy and appreciate yourself for the attempt because you're really trying to lift the whole universe with your hands? You're trying to bend the universe to your will, and that's pretty amazing. That's some hard work right there. You know, you got some heart if you're going to try that, right? I gave up a long time ago, realizing that the only thing I can do is be aware of what's happening and be in the moment. And the more I'm in the moment, the more I release and relax, the more energy I have to respond to the moment and respond to the things happening around me instead of me trying to wield my mind and bend the universe to my idea of the way everybody needs to behave and I need to to behave and how everything has to go. So the beginner's mind, the opened mind, with a full heart and a body that can respond. That's the integrated human.